everybody, it's Tara Bryan, and you are listening to the Course Building Secrets podcast. Whether you're a coach or a CEO, the success of your team and clients is based on your ability to deliver a consistent experience and guide them on the fastest path to results. This podcast will give you practical, real-life tips that you can use today to build your online experiences that get results and create raving fans. Why? So you can monetize your expertise and serve more people without adding more time or team to your business. If you're looking to uncover your $1 million framework, package it and use it to scale, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hey, course launchers. In today's episode, I want to talk about the other 20%. Okay, so you've probably been told it's all about getting 80%, right? Just work on the 80%, get it 80% of the way there, and it's all good, right? You just have to keep doing the 80%. But today I want to talk about the other 20% because I don't think people spend a lot of time talking about the 20%. Because here's the reality is when you're starting out, when you're working on your MVP, when you're first starting a business, whatever it is, you're starting a new product, you're building something new, getting to 80% is amazing because you are getting it out of your head, you're packaging it, you're putting it together, you're getting something out there, which is so very important. And we talk a lot about that, right? If it's in your head, if it's something that's not out in the world and people need it, that's a travesty, right? So the very first step is absolutely 100% get it out into the world. Get it into something that you can sell, something that people can consume, that they're getting results from, like 100% all day long, go for it. But that's awesome. So, however, one day you actually have to land the plane and do that extra 20%. And I want to talk about why and I want to talk about how in today's episode. So, first, just to tee us up, like if you think about Tony Robbins, for example, who, if you don't know Tony, he is a personal development coach, right? So he has been doing this for 100 years, and literally, Tony actually, he's been doing this for a very, very long time, and he talks about the same things over and over and over and over again. So he isn't recreating the wheel. He isn't like making up new material. He is literally, he's had the same programs in various modalities for, I don't know, maybe 40 years, literally is how long he's been doing this. And so it's not, what he's not doing is recreating things to get to 80% every single time he does a new event, every single time he helps people. He is literally doing the same thing that he has been doing, but each time he is dialing in his craft even more, right? So he has gotten from that 80% to that 20% by repetition, by continuing to teach the same thing, by getting so good at helping people and making his message so clear and simplified that he can help people faster than anybody else because he has perfected the art of what he does, right? But when he started, he was doing the 80%. In the years that he has been doing the same programs, he has really gotten that whole last 20% dialed in. And because of it, it's made him very successful. This week, one of my mentors, Russell Brunson, is doing your first funnel challenge. And so he is literally showing up every day for about 2 hours teaching people how to build funnels. Well, Russell's been in this game for a long time. He has probably taught, I don't know, maybe 1 million people how to build funnels. And I was in one of his high-level masterminds years ago, and I tuned in just the other day. In fact, I just went to his live event a couple weeks ago, and the man is talking about exactly the same things. He has the same stories. He has the same methodologies for how he's teaching what he's teaching. He has books. He has live events. He is doing this challenge. He's doing all these other things, and he's talking about funnels. Do you think that Russell, who has created a $1 billion valuation business, is ready to move beyond funnels? Probably, right? But that is what he's teaching. He has perfected the art of funnels. He's perfected the art of teaching people how to create funnels, how to build their businesses with funnels, and how to get people to move from not thinking that it's something that's for them, to getting, completely well versed in it. And not only that, but that you can actually start a business helping people with funnels. He has been teaching the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? When he started, it was 80%. Now he's got it dialed in. Now he's taken that last 20% and perfected it. He can help people faster and easier and in a more clear manner than he could when he first started the 20%. He is also very successful, right? You think about over and over and over again, all of these people, they're not creating things randomly, willy-nilly all the time. They have their main offers, their main things, and they're working on perfecting them. They're doing the MVP, they're doing the V1, they're doing the V2, they're doing a V3. They're getting to that last 20%. So one of the things that I find fascinating about this world that we live in is I think the message has been lost for a lot of people, where they hear, well, just get to 80%, and then they stop. And what happens is that when you operate at the 80% forever, as it pertains to your business model, there's always this sense of chaos that's happening, either from a company perspective, right? You don't have the right systems, you don't have the right teams, you don't have the right things happening. You're sort of making decisions on the fly, and also on the product or service side, right? The customer always feels like you're just sort of making it up, right? Things just aren't quite dialed in as exactly as they should be, right? So you've gotten to the 80%, it's great. But at one point in time, it starts to show. That last 20% starts to show. And so one of the goals in building your business and getting to the place where you can grow and scale it is to really dial in that last 20%. And so when you're not doing this, it looks like customers leaving, customers not completing your programs, customers are frustrated. They're calling with lots of questions. There's miscommunication. There's a lack of sort of consistency in how things are done. That's on the customer side. On the team side, you have turnover. People aren't sure what to do. There's sort of, I always call it like the conundrum of the Dropbox folder, right? Like you have a million things all over the place. Things aren't dialed in. You're continuously recreating things, right? It's almost faster to recreate something than it is to find what you have in there. All of that are signs that you need to dial in that last 20%. I'm working with a client right now who has a really awesome, thriving business, right? They've been able to dial in their front end. They have a solid offer in terms of fulfillment. But what's happening is that 20% is starting to show to their customers. It's starting to show in the way that they deliver their services. It's starting to show in their communication. It's starting to show. And what happens is it starts to erode your professionalism. It starts to erode people's confidence. And they start thinking, well, I don't know, maybe these people aren't who I want to be working with because of X, Y, and Z, right? There's just like a certain amount of chaos is always present in a business, because if it's not, you're not growing and you're not evolving and you're not changing. But it's how you deal with that. And at some point, saying it's all about the 80% and being okay with that when you're serving your customers is going to come back to bite you. And this particular customer it's interesting. So they have a really strong front end. They're able to get people in, but they're not staying. And they're not attending their higher ticket offers that they have on the back end. And this customer is really frustrated by that. They're like, I don't understand. Like we can get all these people in, and we have all of this content, we have all these things for them, but people aren't showing up. People aren't coming. They're not staying. We've hired all of these people to help them give personalized attention because they're not going through the material. And so it just feels like something's missing. And I'm like, it's that last 20%. So for example, this is a really small example, but I'm going to give it to you because it is, for me, and I'm in this space all the time, but for me, one of the indicators that there's a little bit of this going on in a company is when their email auto responders, right? So the reality is people are sending automated messages. But for me, and again, this is small, but when they're not tagging people when they purchase, so they fall off, or not even purchase, but complete an activity, that they fall off of that email sequence, right? Once they've done the activity, if you do not have that tagged and your customer continues to get things, even when they've taken that particular action, that is a indication that last 20% is not dialed in your company. It's such a small thing, but it's so telling, because if you're trying to sell something, or you want somebody to attend an event, or you want them to do a particular action, and then they do that action, and then you don't actually take them off of the reminders to do that action, there's nothing that makes somebody feel like a number and that they're not important and that you're not paying attention to them more than that. Because yes, we all have email autoresponders, but don't you really, just in your heart, feel like when you're reading that message, it's for you, right? And that it has been sent directly from somebody's desk to you, right? Like, we feel that as a customer. And when there's evidence that we're just a number and we're not important, that starts to erode their confidence, starts to erode their ability to see that, well, maybe they're not paying attention to me. Maybe this isn't a personalized experience. Maybe they can't meet my needs because they don't even know who I am or what I need. Those types of things, that last 20%, is what will make the difference between you having a customer and keeping them, or having a customer and having them leave. And most of the time people don't even worry about, well, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter if they've bought the ticket to the event and I continue to remind them, like, I guess it's a good thing that they're getting that. No, that shows that you're not paying attention to them. You're not personalizing the experience for them. So if you're using email autoresponders and you're not tagging people to leave that list, leave those reminders, when they've taken the action you want them to take, you're not using your tools correctly, right? But on the flip side of that, think about what it does to your customers, right? So I have a dozen examples of that, but I do just want to emphasize that other 20% does make a big difference. How do you welcome somebody in to your program? What do you do when they finish? How do you help them actually go through the program and make sure that they're getting results? What are those personal touches that you're adding? And don't kid yourself. You can add personal experiences and have them automated at the same time. Just pay attention to the details, right? But the difference between somebody who becomes successful and the person who does not is when they have that personalized, and I say personalized, it can be automated, but it's still personalized approach to their experience and their journey and what they're going through. And that you always have to keep that in mind, that you're actually serving a person at the end of this, right? You can automate, you can package, you can do all the things that you want to do to grow your online business. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're literally just serving the person who you are best to serve. And the more you can remember that, the more you can remember, like, oh, I'm like, this person is just sitting in front of me. How can I give them an awesome experience? You can do that by dialing that last 20%. It will make the biggest difference in your business, in retaining your customers, and then taking your customers to the next level. Because the reality is it costs a heck of a lot more to get a new customer than it is just to keep the ones that you have. So there you go. That is my tip for today, is don't forget about that extra 20%. My disclaimer for this is, do not think about the 20% before you've done the 80%, right? Like, you've got to get in the game. You've got to get it out there into the world. The perfecting part of it, the personalization part of it, that last 20% comes when you have some experience with your people, right? It comes when you are able to see what they need in order to be successful. Some of that you can anticipate. That's what we specialize in, is helping people anticipate those things based on when they know they're going to struggle. But either way, don't worry about the 20% before you've done the 80%. But eventually you've got to dial in that 20% in order to keep growing. So if you're at that place where you're like, you know what, things are dialed in, things are great, I feel really confident that we're ready to grow and scale, it's time to dial in that extra 20%. All right, there you go. That is my course building tip for today. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, are you a business owner ready to streamline and scale your business? Imagine solving the biggest business challenges with clarity, a strategy, and a clear plan. Hey, I'm Bryan, and I want to invite you to take the first step towards transforming your business with a free 30-minute discovery call. This call is an opportunity to discuss your goals, identify key challenges, and learn how my mentorship program can help you achieve the success you're aiming for. In just a half hour, we'll explore how you can scale your business by enhancing your authority strategy, engagement strategy, and retention strategy. You'll get personalized advice and a clear path forward. Ready to take the first step? Click on the link below that's in the show notes to book your free discovery call now. I hope to talk to you soon.